I am Mr. J Doshi, working as Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Walchand Institute of Technology, Solapur. The students will be able to describe the construction and working of the power transmission systems like belts, chains, ropes and gears. First thing, what is power transmission or why the power transmission is required? See, everywhere, right from cycle, bicycle to the aircraft, if you observe, from the engine, the power generated by the engine or the revolutions generated by the engine must be transmitted to the either rear wheel or front wheel, and which will make it to drive or will make it to run. Similarly, in case of machineries also, everywhere, if you observe, even if you go to a domestic appliances like mixer or a washing machine, there also the power transmission is required because motor is fitted, electric motor is fitted at some place, and the drive is to be given to the shaft so that the shaft will rotate at particular RPM, or piston cylinder arrangement is there, it will reciprocate it in a particular reciprocations per minute. And again power also is there along with this, because power can be increased or decreased by using the gear trains and so on. But the power transmission system, basic power transmission system requires some source of transmission. So in that again in power transmission system we can study belts and ropes, how the belts and ropes used to drive the certain system, or how to transmit the power. Okay, then chains are there, gears are there. Now to transmit power from one shaft to another shaft, maybe vertical, maybe horizontal, or maybe angular to each other. Okay, the commonly used systems are belts and ropes, chains and gears. Okay. Now belts and ropes, the friction generated or friction present between the pulley, which has a semicircular groove and of the same diameter of the rope, and the rope semicircular area, semicircular cross section area. These two generate the friction in between them, and that frictional force or frictional power is used to transmit the power. Okay, so friction between the belt and the pulley, or the rope and the pulley, is used to transmit power. Pulleys are mounted on the driver, and driven pulleys or follower shafts. So the pulley which drives the mechanism is called driver pulley, which is driven by this driver pulley with the help of a rope or a belt is called driven pulley. Follower shafts are shafts in between these two shafts. Then frictional resistance between these pulleys and belt is the reason for power transmission. There are flat type of belts, V types of belts used for the power transmission. Regarding belts I am talking. Regarding ropes, of course it will be a cross-sectional, circular cross-sectional ropes or wires which are used to transmit the power. In all the cases, we use the frictional force present or frictional resistance present between the pulley surface where the belt is driven and the belt surface which is in contact with the groove. These are the types of belts and ropes. So first one is flat belt. In this case, the belt which has a rectangular cross sectional area with less thickness and more the width will be mounted on two pulleys which are mounted on different shafts, and due to the friction of that flat surface which is in contact with the pulley will be used for driving or giving drive or giving transmitting power from driving pulley to driven pulley. In case of V belt, if you observe the surface generated on the pulley and the shape of the belt, cross section area of the belt, if you observe, it is in contact. So more will be the contact area, and more will be the friction, due to which more will be the power transmitted, or the losses due to slip of the belt or creep of the belt can be minimized, so that it will be transmitted more efficiently. It will be transmitted more efficiently. In case of flat belt, there is a chance of slipping the belt, whereas in case of V belt, there are very real chances of slipping the belt. Another thing, usually these flat belts are not endless. Okay, usually with the help of clips those are fastened, those, both the ends are joined to each other. Of course, sometimes nylon belts are there, nylon flat belts are there, which are endless. But normal flat belt which is used in the market, or particularly in the rural area, these belts are used. There are chances of slipping due to elongation of the belt, and more slip is there. But again, some advantages are also there. Their accident chances are lesser than the V belt. Whereas in case of V belt, these are endless belt. These are available in different sizes and different types: A class, B class, C class, and so on. So depending upon that angle between two slant edges of the belts are classified. V belts are classified or used. If you want to transmit more power, you can go for B belt, C belt, D belt, or E belt, like that. And if you want to transmit less power, then you can use A class of belt. And but one more thing in this case, V belt is, V belt, if it elongates after use of some months or some years, then you have to, of course, there are certain limits to adjust the length, but later on you have to replace the belt. But where in case of flat belts, you can um, uh, join even two different belts or two different pieces of the belt to each other with the help of clip. Now, in case of rope, here it is shown as a V groove type, but sometimes the semicircular cross-sectional grooves are also generated, so that there will be more area of contact of the belt and the groove of the belt can be observed. So these are used for transmission of power with the help of using that frictional resistance of the belt surface and the pulley surface. Now the chains. We have observed some disadvantages of the belt, that the belt drive is not a positive drive because the creep and slip is there. So losses take place, 100% power can't be transmitted. The chain drive is a positive drive. Chains can be used for larger center distances. These are made of metals and heavier than belt. Then they are flexible like belts because this is fabricated in terms of links. So the links are joined with each other to form the chain, and those are flexible. So they are flexible like belts and requires lubrication from time to time. Whereas in case of belts, we never carry lubrication because opposite in there will be adverse effect. That belt will start slipping if you provide a lubrication. So here, in case of chain drive, we require the lubrication because there are moving parts of each link with each other. Now these are the sketches of the chain drive, how the chain is assembled. If you observe, this is a rolling bush, okay, this is a pin. In between these two parts, lubrication is required. So the pin and the rolling bush, if there is a proper lubrication, the chances of wearing out of these parts will be less. This is the pitch. Central distance between two pins, two nearest pins, will be called as pitch, and this will be the peripheral length between the two gears or two this is the sprocket, you can say. So from center of this to center of this, if you count the linear distance, that is equal to pitch. Okay, so pin to pin, so that is called as pitch. So this is a roller chain, this is a block chain. So this has given some another shape so that it will meshed like a gear. So this is inverted tooth chain, means here if you observe, this does not have any geared type projection, so it will be flat. So these are usually used in this type of inverted tooth chain. This type of chains are used in slow motion or for low motion, low revolution transmission. But with this you will get the higher power transmitted. Efficiency will be better than this roller chain. Now regarding gears, next version is gears. Gears are also used for power transmission. That successive engagement of teeth, that is continuously the teeth will be engaged with each other. Then the two gear transmit motion by the direct contact like chain drive. So one type of chain we observe geared tooth type chain. Similar mechanism, instead of a chain there will be another gear which has a projection, and these two gears teeth will match with each other, mesh with each other, and they will be in direct contact with each other, and the power will be transmitted. Gears also provide positive drive. So it has a again additional power, positive efficiency or more efficiency than the chain drive. So these are some of types of the gears. One more advantage in gears is in case of belt drive. If you observe, in case of belt drive, usually the shafts must be parallel to each other. Must be parallel to each other. Angular shafts, or the shafts which are at 90 degree to each other or at 45 degree to each other, power can't be transmitted with the help of a belt. Whereas in case of gears, we have different types of gear which can be used, of course, for positive drive as well as for change. Now if you observe, this is the bevel gear. So here this is one shaft, this is another shaft. These shafts are perpendicular to each other. So accordingly the gears which are called as bevel gears are provided on the surface of the, on the circumference of the gear blank, and that will give drive to the shaft which is at 90 degrees. Okay. Then the other gears are the helical gear, double helical gears, means the teeth are inclined to the plane or the axis of the shaft, so that you will get more contact area during meshing, and wear and tear of the gear will be less. Okay. If you go to double helical, again same thing, more contact area of the teeth will be there and less wear and tear will be there. Spur gears are directly parallel to the axis line or shaft line, and those will be at a time one-to-one contact will be there, and comparatively more wear and tear will be there. But for higher speeds we can use this type of gears.